Yo, what is going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we've got some more Bitcoin talk here. Not a ton of stuff going on with Bitcoin, but we do have a little bit of price moving, and we can look at what happened after that huge run up in price, which is right here. So this is the daily chart. Obviously, this was the run up here. This was the big run up candle. And right after that, we saw this little correction type move, which, I mean, we got all the way up to here, $40,548, and started coming back down. But we found a bounce here, and now we're back up. And the biggest line of resistance right now is right here at the $38,757 mark, where this candle literally got rejected off of. So short term, obviously we want to get over 40. We'd want to get over this 41,000 mark, but ideally at least over 40 to kind of get more support in that area, because the biggest thing with this move is that where we were, there wasn't a lot of support. So you zoom out and you see, I mean, the only other time we were ever around these bottom levels was back here, where they were more or less resistance at the time. So we built up lots of support at 30K, around the 30K range. And now with these candles being up here, we're actually able to know that, plummeting down without some insane news coming out that would cause that. There's a lot more support zones where we could bounce off 35,000 for support. We could bounce off 36,000, 37,000, like we did. So it's a good thing to see a lot more support zones instead of being having to build them out. So they've already been built out here, but we're at 38,000 right now. So I'd say that's great. I mean, we went from what the bottom here was 29,295, and just basically a straight line up to 40K. And there's some people that are getting upset that Bitcoin's at 38,000 right now, when literally, go back a week and Bitcoin's at 30,000 or 29,000. So I don't understand how people are that short-sighted and saying, Bitcoin went from 40K to 38, so it's done. The rally's over. It's crazy how short-sighted people can be, and that's where you get burned with Bitcoin, is only being able to look a few days in the future and hope to make millions overnight. That's just not going to happen. But Bitcoin's this asset changing the world, and the fundamentals have never been stronger. But people ask all the time, what is fundamentals? What does that mean? For Bitcoin, it means adoption, users increasing on the network, more institutions getting involved, more people getting involved, more people knowing about Bitcoin. That's more what fundamentals are. And we can see that even right here with this tweet from Blockworks. It says, saying Goldman Sachs, State Street, J.P. Morgan, and BNY Mellon, and what they have in common: embracing crypto. They've attended Blockworks DAS. So I'm sure it's nothing, right? Just two of the big banks, BNY Mellon. They might be considered a big bank, and I'm not sure what State Street is, but these giant banks coming into the crypto space, learning about it, getting involved, and offering Bitcoin services to wealthier clients, or Bitcoin services in general. I'm sure it's nothing, right? They're not, trying to do anything with Bitcoin. But this is more of an example of fundamentals here, of things that aren't going to reflect in the price right away. Fundamentals take over a long period of time, not over, a week, 2 weeks, a month. That's where you get the technical stuff, where you can try and say bearish, bullish, this and that. But all in all, what we've seen over time is that Bitcoin continues to be bullish. And if you're a bear on Bitcoin, you're the biggest loser out of everyone, because throughout this whole time, when bears, you can look at Peter Schiff. He's been saying Bitcoin's worthless since Bitcoin hit $10 a coin. So imagine getting in at $10 and being now the only people who've lost are the bears, not the bulls. But speaking of technical analysis, we can look here. Obviously, the downtrend line. So this is from like the crash. This was the top 60, about this 65,000, 64,899, and you just draw this trend line down here. But that's where we fell down to, hit it again, and really fell down. This was like the Tesla news, Elon FUD. Everything was just trying to tank Bitcoin, and it wasn't working. But we've seen what we've gotten here. A lot of support built up, and now we're coming back up. So what this obviously says is, currently around $45,000 is what this line is right now, and it's ever moving lower. So every day that goes by, the price to get back above this trend line keeps going down, and getting above this will be good for the short term, good for bullishness coming back and seeing Bitcoin set new all-time highs, and ultimately getting Bitcoin to that six-figure Bitcoin that everyone's waiting for December. And as history has shown, Bitcoin from July to December are great months and they are explosive. So it could be very easily that we see Bitcoin take off into the six figures between now and December. And we've got the golden cross here. Obviously, people said the death cross, all of this stuff. So this is the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin, and everyone had all the death cross. It's over. Bitcoin's going to the 20s, and it crashed. And then, you had all of this insane bearishness throughout this whole time. And then this pump here makes these two lines, these two moving averages coming back, and now we're getting the golden cross. So now instead of a death cross, it's a golden cross. So, all these technicals, ultimately it doesn't matter over 5-10 years. But if you're looking at Bitcoin super short term and trading it, which I don't think anyone should be, I think you should be focused on stacking Bitcoin and keeping the Bitcoin you have, which means not using leverage to get it. But this short term, more bullish, and more things that we can bring into the Bitcoin world right now that's bullish will just turn sentiment, and prices will move even more, because right now there's so many people that were screaming for 20K that are still screaming for it because they are instantly upset that they might be wrong, and maybe this is the bottom and this explosion up, and we might be all right not to go back into the 20s, but we also might. But what people screaming for that and saying short Bitcoin, short it, short it, short it, and they have been screaming it, they lost everyone a bunch of money because of the $1 billion in shorts that were liquidated. So if you listen to these people like Pablo on TikTok, who always talks about Bitcoin going to the moon, and not anymore, Bitcoin's going to 20K, Bitcoin's going to go to 18K, Bitcoin's going to go to this and that. And what we know for a fact is over time, bears are wrong. You can't fight that. Over time, bears are always wrong, and bears are always the losers. And just to show that, some memes type stuff here, things that are interesting to even look at, is obviously a tweet from 2011 talking about Bitcoin, saying Bitcoin is down to $2.70 a pop. So glad I didn't buy in on that mess. And imagine being able to buy Bitcoin for $2.70 per Bitcoin. If you know what you know now, obviously it gets a lot easier to do that. But this is what holding looks like. This is what holding is all about, is riding the ups and downs in an asset that you believe in, and that's something that is the greatest asset in the world, which is Bitcoin. And if you think that, how easy it would have been to just buy Bitcoin at $2 and you would be a multimillionaire, the hardest part is holding it. And people are looking at that right now. The hardest part is holding it. If you were even considering selling because of this crash, then you would have sold in the previous crashes that happened before that were worse than this one. So you can't look back and say, oh, it would have been so easy to get on Bitcoin at this price, because ultimately the majority of people would have sold. Nobody would have held on to it because it had an 80% correction. If you put in $100,000, you'd have $20,000 at the end of that correction. And would you hold on, or would you cut losses? Like, a lot of people would sell, because we've seen them do that right now, from 65 down to 30. There were tons of people selling, shorting Bitcoin, saying Bitcoin's worthless, it's going to zero, it's over. And people said the same thing the last time Bitcoin's crashed, and we see where we are now. So it's all about holding, getting Bitcoin, and holding on to it. So it's not about trading and making money, because you don't want to make money, you want to make Bitcoin. And just one more here, just a funny type thing, seeing you have not missed the bus on Bitcoin. Everyone feels this way when they first get in, which is 1,000,000% right. If you're just getting into Bitcoin, it feels like you missed the bus every single time. You cannot change that. Obviously, this is from 2010, saying I have only 600 Bitcoin, virtually all generated last week. I missed the bus. I'll be buying some soon. So at least this person wants to be getting more Bitcoin. Who knows what they actually happened? But imagine saying that. Imagine saying, I only have 600 Bitcoin. Imagine saying that now. That would be crazy. That would be a ridiculous amount of money, and people would go crazy for some for 600 Bitcoin now. So you just keep that in mind. Bitcoin's an asset that you want to hold and take it for the long term. And the reason that I say don't use leverage and things like that, there are people who will say, mortgage your house, do all of this, take out credit, take out loans because Bitcoin will beat this. But it's not about, stacking as much as possible and taking on the most amount of risk, because then you have the most amount of risk to lose it all. If you have a hardship and you need money, you're gonna have to sell it. So what you can do is, if you own your house, that's security. That's easily to be able to put money into Bitcoin and not worry about going homeless. Whereas if you mortgage your house for Bitcoin, it could pay off. It very, very easily could pay off. But you take on the risk of going homeless and losing your Bitcoin because you took on more risk than was actually smart to do. So it's all about holding Bitcoin, getting it without risk so that you can hold it forever and not even have to worry about money. And that's the end goal here. But a little bit of news here with Bitcoin, nothing insane. And the price moves, we're still sitting at just about 38,000. I like it, and I don't know why people are freaking out. But as always, guys, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. See you guys in my next video.